I'm still concerned about the 100 million that sat out and the rhetoric that I'm
Yeah.
hearing and seeing play out on social media and other comments and sections. And there seems to be a very strong, I want to say, interference from outside agents because the language is the same. So I feel like there's a cut and paste. Hear your talking points. And when I hear people repeat the same phrases over and over again, I'm like, where'd that come from all of a sudden? How do you combat that? And what Drew is speaking to is a lack of that same strategy on the other side. So not the DNC, nobody has that cut and paste. Here's what we're going to say every time we go out. We're on the same message. We're going to say it. We're going to drill it. We're going to say it the same way because that's how people digest information today. How do we really combat the bots, which are still prevalent
Yeah.
on Facebook especially, right? The folks who may have an interest in upsetting this election who are conservative Republicans or Tea Party people who are funding some of these black faces in blackface who are putting these divisive messages out on their social media platforms. How do we really fight that?
So a couple of things. We have an effort around mis and disinformation. We know in 2016, we know there was foreign interference in our election. We suspect that it will escalate. We are seeing it happen now on the census as well as for the election.
Wait,
So
on the
on the
census? How are they
yes.
impacting the
Well,
census?
some people still are saying that the citizenship question is on. It's not. The Supreme Court ruled. It hasn't been on since over a year ago. Some people are saying the census is canceled. It's not. So they're vicious. They're ruthless. They're coming for our community because they want to erase us. So if people see something online and they're like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right, they can actually go to censuscounts.org. They can go to Color of Change's website, the NAACP, and report it. We directly work with some of these big tech platforms to say, this is wrong. Look, the Trump campaign, civil rights is a nonpartisan issue. So let me just get that out there right now before anybody try to come for our tax status. We fight for all people. But the Trump campaign a couple of months ago put an ad out on the census that was just factually wrong. The president of the United States
What?
presidential campaign.
Wait, you're saying the president lied? No way.
Right. Yeah, no, let me clutch my pearls. But the problem is that it was on a platform and it was able to stay up until we advocated for it to be taken down. And not just be taken down, but then all those people, because we know you can trace what we're doing. You're about to trace us on COVID. We understand that. We also wanted to make sure that that platform then pushed correct information out to the people to see and saying, like, the ad you saw was a lie. It was false. And this is the actual information. They have an obligation to do that. We do that a lot in our advocacy. The other thing I would just say is that we have to know who we are working against. So a lot of these rallies, I started working at the White House a month before Michael Brown was murdered. And the way protesters in Ferguson and then later Baltimore and then Charlotte and then Chicago and then in Baton Rouge and then Texas and then all the places where we have seen police violence happen and then civil disobedience happen. The way protesters were treated with military force was not just and was not fair. And when we saw the protests that were happening this past weekend, there's a couple important points to know. Those protests were organized by traditional white supremacy groups that have been fueled with this current administration. It's the same type of group that showed up in Charlottesville just a few months after Trump was inaugurated. We have to root those entities out, expose them. If they have a life on platforms, I'm not trying to compromise your First Amendment right, but I have a right to be safe in my country just as much as you do. And we have to go to the root and expose them. And part of it is not just on advocacy groups, but on platforms like Twitter, on platforms like YouTube and Google and Facebook to say, you don't have a place here. You don't get to perpetuate hate on my platform. You don't get to perpetuate voter suppression or census suppression. That's not the environment I want to create.
But
we're still
it
waiting
seems
for
like
answers from some of them.
There seems to be, and Drew, in a second, a cause and effect. So you have to do something you can't just let it sit. You know how people just it'll go away. You're saying, no, we have to actively call it out and then report them. It's just like you get into a fight on Twitter, somebody calls you out there, that calls you something racist or whatever. You have to report them. Don't just block them, report them. So you're saying there's an action that has to be taken. You don't just sit back and let people get away with this. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. Absolutely. Okay. And you can go to censuscounts.org. And if you see that action on census, You can put any action that you're seeing. We've seen dis and misinformation be spread about COVID-19. You know, for a while, people were like, Black people can't get in, and now Black people are dying at disproportionate rates. We can't let this disinformation spread like wildfire in our community.
Ashley, my thinking on helping people understand what the work that your organization is doing, right, is that for somebody like me, I don't have a huge presence on social media, but I have somewhat of a presence on social media. If I knew that your organization was fighting that particular fight and won that particular win against the Trump campaign to get that taken down and to get someone to actually put the right information out there, I would be blasting that everywhere because I would say, wow, this is an opportunity where I can share that Black people are taking care of each other. There's an organization out there that's actually fighting this fight. We all need to support this organization because this is the type of thing that they're doing on our behalf, right? Mm-hmm. My constant concern is that we don't know who our allies truly are. We don't know who our allies are, who's working for us, who's fighting the good fight. We don't know who to support. We don't know who to call when we want to say, hey, we want somebody bigger than me to hold this person, this company, this organization, this campaign, this elected official accountable. I don't know who does that, right? I guess my question is, how do we help you guys, and how do you folks, because I don't want to say guys, how do you folks tell a better story around your fighting of the good fight and letting people know that there are actually people who are doing this for us and that they need our support?
Well, first, thank you for having me on. No one from the Leadership Conference in our 70 years of history has ever been on the Karen Show. So this is one step, like letting us, I follow you all now. You can follow civilrights.org on Twitter and Instagram. We push out that information for all your listeners. I'm happy to come back and talk about this. I love it. It's what keeps me going in the darkest days that we have faced and will face. You can go to civilrights.org. That's our website. We have tons of information. We just don't work on census or voting. We work on all civil rights issues. If you are like, I want to be a part of an organization, you know, I would love for you to join our list and get our emails. But you don't have to. If what we are saying or the way we're saying it doesn't speak to you, you can go on our website and look at our coalition members and join any of those. Get engaged. People are sending emails out, and it's not even about donating money. I know times are hard right now. That's the last thing I'm asking for folks to do. But we have textathons. We're having tons of textathons this week where we're texting people. We're doing teletown halls where we're dialing over 100,000 people across the country on Thursday night to talk about voting rights and let them know how to do it. We are here to serve. If you follow us, if you follow me at Ashley or Allison and you DM me and you say, you should try this, I bet you I will. We're open to criticism, feedback. We all got to do it together. You know, you said how we can't do it alone. I need you all just as much, you know, as you might need me to come on the show and talk about voting rights. We're in this fight together because if we don't do it together, we are destined to lose.